All right, guys, we got game one of the NBA Finals. Also, $1 million up top. Yep, $1 million to first place for game one, NBA Showdown, Boston Golden State. Super excited about talking about this one for you guys. If you are a first-time viewer, welcome to my channel. My name is DK. Cover content for Draftkings, for NBA Top Shot, Prize Picks, and Super Draft. You can check our Prize Picks is the sponsor of this video. Make sure to use the code DKDFS for a 100% match up to $100. So take advantage of that. Also, I will have a Prize Picks video up after this. Make sure to check that one out, guys. But other than that, also premium content, you can check it out, link down below. Cover the NBA, USFL, and esports. Also, we have Summer League coming up in about a month, right around the corner. The most profitable portion of the year for myself. But let's quickly recap Game 7. So, really unfortunate that PJ Tucker got injured, and we got that confirmation after the game was over that PJ Tucker was in fact injured, and that's the reason he did not come back in. He only played a couple minutes in the second half, never returned. Now, that was the tricky part about this series, right? Was basically almost everyone was injured, and you didn't know how injured some guys were. We knew PJ Tucker was banged up coming in, but also Jimmy Butler was banged up coming in. Marcus Smart was banged up. Robert Williams limped off, right? So that was the really, really tough part about this series in general. It's just so many injuries and trying to figure out who was more injured than the other, right? So got a little bit unlucky. I think if PJ Tucker did not get injured, it would have been a pretty solid night for myself. But I basically took the zero with Martin. I was like, okay, if he plays a little bit, so be it. If not, I'm not expecting much. And he did not touch the court, but Tatum, Butler, Brown, and Smart especially at low ownership, all smashed. So again, if Tucker doesn't get injured there, probably would have been a pretty solid night. But what can you do? Like I said, there are injuries basically all series long. But let's now focus our attention to game one. And like I said, $1 million. Super excited for this one. Let's see what the Vegas odds are right now. I'm just curious where we're at. Let's see. So, 211.5 are under. Warriors are currently 3.5 point favorites. So, one other thing to mention about game one is usually early in the series, the benches could get extended a bit, or maybe the starters don't play the entire game or like 45 minutes. Maybe they limit their minutes a little. Like, usually teams are, more open to limiting somewhat, taking it easy on the stars' minutes, or maybe adding one more body to the rotation. That's what you usually see game one, game two, and then the rotations tighten up as the series goes on. We'll start on the Boston side, playing on the road. So last game, they basically ran a 7-man rotation. Once again, you saw Peyton Pritchard come out there for a couple minutes, but it was basically 7 guys. And Rob Williams also limped off. He only played 15 minutes. He clearly was not himself. So it's going to be interesting to see if he is even able to play on Thursday. There's a few days off, so we'll see. Obviously, we'll get that confirmation probably in a couple days, but that'll be something to keep an eye on. That could open up some value there for, like, if Rob Williams doesn't end up playing, they probably just go more small. Like, they'll start Horford at the 5 and probably just play Grant Williams at the backup 5. I don't think we see much Tice, and then maybe they would just play Peyton Pritchard more, would be my guess to what happens if Rob Williams doesn't end up playing. But starting at the top with Tatum and Brown. So Tatum's been the guy at the highest floor. I mean, you played 44, 45, and 46 minutes. Like I said, maybe what do we see early on in the series? Like 41 minutes here. Maybe we see like 42, 43 minutes instead of like 46. Not saying you have to change much about that, but Tatum, I think, makes for a great option here at the top. No issue paying up that salary for him. Jaylen Brown, a little bit of a lower floor than Jason Tatum, but similar ceiling. Like, he can go for 50, 60 fantasy points. We've seen it from Brown. So both the main spend ups for Boston, I think, are good options, right? I have no issue with either. In the mid-range, we have Smart and Horford. So I played Smart at low ownership last slate. Worked down a big way, one for 47 fantasy points. Now, the thing with Marcus Smart is he's going to play big minutes as long as he's out of foul trouble, because he's probably going to be the primary defender here on Steph Curry. So I think Smart, if he stays out of foul trouble, makes her a pretty safe play. I expect, close to 40 minutes from Smart. Horford, especially with Rob Williams banged up, probably plays as many minutes as he can handle. We saw some big games from Horford in the Milwaukee series. We saw that 150 fantasy point game in the Miami series. So he's clearly shown a ceiling as well. I think Horford and Smart are pretty similar options for me. Now, Rob Williams just kind of depends on, what we get news wise, because he was limping out there in the second half. So we'll see if he's able to give it a go. It does worry me from what we saw in Game 7. So he's more of a tournament play for me right now, and just kind of waiting to see what the news is. Now, Derrick White did only play 19 minutes last game, did get hit in the head. I mentioned that I thought he was fish food on Patreon last slate. A lot of people chase him. They did. He was very popular, and he busted. I said I'd rather go to Grant Williams, lower ownership. That worked out. But, yeah, with Derrick White, again, he just had like 3 good games in a row, and, we knew he was going to be over-owned. But if there's no Robert Williams, or Rob Williams is limited, this is definitely a series I can see Derrick White playing 25 to 30 minutes, right? Now, it got extended a couple of these games. He's had some Grant Williams massive foul trouble, some Marcus Smart massive foul trouble. So, minutes for Derrick White can fluctuate, right? There's games where I think if he plays very well, he can play around 30. If there's some foul trouble, if he struggles or there's no foul trouble, maybe they cap him around 20 like we saw in Game 7. But definitely a guy that has been playing better of late, right? We've Derrick White really struggled early on in that Miami series, but turned it around. And then Grant Williams at 4.8K. So he is a guy that is not a great point per minute guy, but he can, if he stays out of foul trouble, I'm thinking we probably get around 30 minutes, right? He can play a lot of different positions. He's one of their better defenders. If Rob Williams doesn't play, I expect him to play a lot more. So Grant Williams right now I think is a fair value play. And if Rob Williams ends up not playing, I think he's going to stand out as a really, really good option. Again, Pritchard, maybe he plays a little bit more since it's early in the series. Maybe we could get about 10 minutes or so from Pritchard off the bench. I do think, like I said, if Rob Williams is not able to play, you could see more. So he's one right now. It's just a tournament-only play for me. And that's really it. Maybe if Rob Williams is out, like you said, maybe see a couple minutes from Tice or a couple minutes from Naismith, but I don't know if it would be enough for me to try to take a shot in either of those guys. On the Golden State side, so the value is the big question mark here for Golden State with 3 guys that practiced but didn't scrimmage. We'll see. One thing I'm not excited for, I am not excited for Steve Kerr's end of the bench rotation. That 7th, 8th guy. I'm just not excited. Whoever I'm going to play is going to get a DNP, and it just frustrates me to know. Because I played Kuminga that last slate, and he did not play, and B-Leads have played like 30 minutes. So that is one thing I'm not looking forward to, is just the complete guessing game of Steve Kerr's, kind of end of the bench rotation. But top end guys. So Steph Curry, 10-2. I love Steph at the top. Don't care about Marcus Smart defense. It's not going to get me off Steph Curry. He's going to play close to 40 minutes. I think he looks really, really good at the top. Now, KLAY Thompson, I mentioned. So it's like once every 4 or 5 games, you're going to get the KLAY game. And you basically got the KLAY game last game, right? It feels like always in the closeout games that KLAY has the big game, right? It was Game 6 against Memphis, we had the big game. Game 5 against Dallas, we had the big game. Most of the time, though, KLAY's going to disappoint. So single entry, it's really just a tournament-only play because more often than not, it's going to fail for you at the price point. But every once in a while, he'll come through. And when he does, it usually comes through in a big way. Like when he's shooting well, like KLAY has a 50 fantasy point ceiling for sure. Now, in the mid-range, we have Looney, Wiggins, and Green. So Looney, surprisingly, the most expensive of the bunch. Now, Looney has played very, very well. He has. But, we have to keep an eye on the status of guys like Otto and Gary Payton and Andre Iguodala. Because if like 1 or 2 of those guys end up playing, I'm pretty worried about the Looney minutes, right? Because there's one thing we know for sure for Golden State. Steph's going to play big minutes. KLAY's going to play big minutes. Wiggins is going to play big minutes. And Draymond's going to play big minutes. Now, what happens kind of with that 5th guy is up in the air, right? We've seen games where Poole's played big minutes. We've seen some games where Looney's played big minutes. But if there's 1 or 2 more guys added to this rotation, it's just going to make those guys riskier. So, like, Looney, for me, whether or not I'm going to play him depends on the status of Otto Porter, Gary Payton, and Andre Iguodala. If they're all in, I think Looney's fish food. I think he's way too expensive, worried about his minutes. If all those guys are out, sure. I'm totally fine playing Looney, who has been a great rebounder. He's looked really good. He's been a good defender, too. So, like I said, Looney depends on the status of these questionable players for Golden State. And we're not going to get that news. I'm making this video Monday night. We're probably not going to get that news for a couple days. Now, Wiggins and Draymond, I'm much more confident in their roles. Like I said, either way, these guys are going to play big minutes. Now, maybe if Otto plays or if Gary Payton plays, you see a couple less minutes for them. But Wiggins, their best on-ball defender, would guess he's going to be on Jason Tatum. I think he's probably playing, 38 or so minutes. I think Wiggins is a super safe play. He's been very aggressive on the offensive end, especially that last series. And Draymond Green, with Looney playing more, it has hurt Draymond's rebounding numbers a bit. But Draymond's still a guy that's triple-double upside, and he's dealt with a lot of foul trouble. That's the one issue really with Draymond is prone to foul trouble. We've seen him get in foul trouble almost every single game in that Dallas series. I do think, though, if he stays out of foul trouble, he can play 36 to 38 minutes. So, like Draymond, just have to factor in the foul issues. And Jordan Poole's similar to Looney in the fact of, if a lot of those questionable guys end up playing, I'm a little bit worried about Poole's minutes. So Poole, I think, is more that boomer bust tournament play. But if all those questionable players are out, I do think you might see 30-plus minutes from Poole. So like his ceiling, but like I said, right now more of a tournament play for me. And then the value really just comes down to these questionable players. So like if all the questionable players are out, then I would guess you see some Moody, who did not play in the second half, but played 11 minutes in the first half. And I would think it's Bjelica based on the quotes in the last game, but like I said, I have no idea what Steve Kerr's going to do. No idea. Steve Kerr Bjelica played 22 minutes last game. Kuminga was a DNP. It could very much be Kuminga and Bjelica get the DNP. But like I said, before I start targeting these guys, I need to know the status of Porter, Payton, and Iguodala. So like, if Otto Porter ends up playing, I think he's probably playing around 20 minutes and would be a pretty good value. Gary Payton would be like a question mark. He is one of the better defenders. We've even seen him start games. We saw him start games in the Memphis series. He is very, very cheap. So if he ends up playing, I think he's going to be in the rotation and would be willing to play him. And Iguodala is the Flatman price is, complete dust at this point in his career, but would assume he would be a part of the rotation if he's available to play. So, like, Golden State's really tricky to talk about right now. Because we know for sure Steph, Klay, Looney, Wiggins, Draymond, Poole. That's 6 guys we know for sure are going to be in the rotation. The other guys, it just depends on these questionable players. Because if all the questionable players are in, I would think that would be 7, 8, 9. And I would think that 9 guys do play for Golden State. If they all miss, then we start looking to guys like Moody, maybe taking shots on Bjelica or Kuminga, but the risk there, right? You never, ever know what Steve Kerr is going to do. But yeah, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for the video. So like I said, I am super excited for the series. I think it's going to be a great one. And like I said, $1 million up top. I'm going to try to take down first, for sure. So excited for this game, guys. Excited for the series. Hope this video helps. Again, if you do enjoy, just make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. But other than that, appreciate your guys' support, and I will see you all in the next one.